And we're back. Leicester City Down Under, joined today by Manny and Kate. Guys, how you going? It's good to see
Good. How are you?
you. Good, thank you. Manny, how are you, mate? All right.
Loving the wife beater as always, mate. Doing an adult impression again. I see.
Um,
Are you going to get those guns out for everybody for watching or not?
I'll
How's
get my areolas out for you later. Don't worry. We're talking about my nipples earlier. Don't ask too many questions at the comments. Guys, I am. It's really roasting hot in Australia. 39 on Saturday, then 40 on Sunday, then 42 on Monday. So I'm gonna have skin cancer before Christmas. So, um, looking forward to that.
Brilliant.
Um, guys, an absolute ugly game against Newcastle. One of the first things I just want to get right into it and just talk about the defense and how scary it was. And I'm just going to put on the screen here the starting 11 because there's a lot of people that were panic stations, but I was a few things that we'd touch on that I think was a little bit questionable. But what I do think is with this lineup in that double pivot, two partners that we've never seen before. I'll start with you first, Manny, mate. Do you think that, it's harsh to go in on Root? Obviously, it's only his third game. He's had no preseason and we're missing so many players due to injury and suspension. How much of that capitulation do you put down to the double pivot? Because usually we defend in a compact, and the two games we've seen 4-4-2. Talk to me why you think we went so awry in that second half, other
yeah,
than Ward, obviously.
it wasn't just the two replacement midfielders for our first choice. It was a combination of multiple factors. No threat going forward, no speed on the out wide, problems centrally in midfield, two slow centre backs, replacement keeper, a right back out of form. You name it, all those things. You start getting on a roll against you. I mean, 1-0 at half time, you'll stun the game. As soon as you concede that second, you kind of know the game's over, pretty much, especially away with that crowd. And Danny Ward hasn't played many minutes. I know he's been getting a lot of hate, but whether it's his play or the psychological feeling of his defenders in front of him, this isn't our first team. Rude's not a miracle worker. You could put Arne Slot, Maresca, peak Guardiola in charge of that 11, and you're not getting a result away to Newcastle. So I don't pay too much attention to be honest. And it's one of those games. There's a total free hit, and it's almost more useful to try lots of things so you can learn for other games. And with January transfer window coming up, it helps you to isolate exactly what you need.
And I agree with Manny, and like it's not panic stations yet, but like Kate, like what do you like? Talk to me and like what your thoughts were when you did not see Boynoto getting a start. It was the third consistent start for McAteer. It's easy to say in hindsight that was the wrong call, but like what were your thoughts and why you think maybe that Ruud van Nistelrooy did that?
I think he perhaps saw Brannan not as more of an impact sub, but I think he wanted to reward Mavadidi with the start, and I think he wanted to reward El Khanous and McAteer with the progress that they made. I think McAteer's done okay. I don't think he set the world on fire, but I think come the end of the season, he'll probably win our most improved player. I think he's got loads of potential. And like I said previously, the thing with Brannan is this wasn't going to be won or lost based on the inclusion of him. But
Mm-hmm.
the problem is with Brannan, although he's been one of our best players, I think El Khanous is massively catching him up in that regard because he just showed he was pretty much the only proper ball player on Saturday. The thing with Brannan, we've just got to be careful because he's not ours and we don't own him. And if that's going to jeopardise the progress of other players, then you don't want to include him consistently because he's a lone player. But I understand that he is one of the better players in the squad for the ball control, for scoring. We've seen what he can do inside the box. But at the same time, I don't think that game was ever going to be won, lost or drawn on that position.
I actually spot on agree with everything you just said, Kate. Manny, though, like my thoughts are between what Kate just said, particularly Boyanote, is I feel like maybe you could make the argument that he has a higher ceiling maybe than Bilal, but from what I'm just objectively from what I've seen so far, which granted isn't a lot, is that Bilal is, in my opinion, better in more areas than Boyanote, but Boyanote is so much more threatening when he's firing. Do you think I'm stupid to say that? Like, what are your thoughts between the two and like what we should be doing, going by what Kate's saying moving forward?
No, I think both of them have their attributes and both of them have especially attacking elements that we like. Buonanotte is probably a bit more of a sort of solo artist. He likes to beat two or three men himself, whereas Bilal might be the first man, but then he's looking to play somebody else in with a Q pass. And I think that's what we would ideally like, is to get these two on the pitch together, and let's try and get them to work together. Get a feel for where each other's going to be, so it becomes second nature. You just know where the other one's going to be. But Buonanotte, I mean, he's been probably our best player this season all around. And, he's one of those ones I'm sure we'd love to keep him. But there is that element, if he is a bit sort of what's best for myself, or forget everybody else, I'm just going to do it myself. It's like that kid in the school playground who thinks he's better than everybody else and just wants to dribble past 5 players and shoot, rather than looking for another player. So I think there are issues with playing him on the right-hand side in particular, because if he doesn't have that discipline and that work rate going back down the right-hand side, we've seen what happens when JJ gets exposed. We've seen that over and over and over again. So I kind of agree with Kate to a bit when she said about McAteer and the way that he's playing and some of his attributes, which are really, really helpful. But it's a tricky one. We kind of want Buonanotte central, which might means that you're going to have to play Bilal on the left, which means the only real spot is right wing, and then the debate becomes of which one you want and why.
We're going to get into that. We're going to do the 11 together later, Kate. I've already kind of half filled it in, but we're going to go through democracy for the building 11 later in the show. But Wolverhampton have just sacked Gary O'Neill. Why couldn't they just wait? Guys, do you think they're going to have a new manager bounce? I don't think so, but that could be my famous last words. I think it's probably too soon, and they're going to have a caretaker, I believe. Kate, are you feeling confident going into this Wolverhampton game with, Sumara is going to be back? It looks like Winks, by all accounts, is going to be available. Manny's just mentioned here mentality. Manny, what do you want to touch on that, mate?
Well, just to reply to the question in there, mate, but carry on.
Sorry, mate. I've got to bring this up. Andreas, mate, sorry to be rude, mate. I'm glad you tuned in, mate. Thank you. It's good to see you. Why is Mavididi not playing to his potential, Kate? Why do you think so?
Maybe he is.
Oh, you're drawing the hate train of Locks.
Not at all. No, not at all. But his good attributes haven't been good enough. And that's just sometimes how the cookie crumbles. It may be that we've got a player on our hands that just isn't a Premier League quality. I do feel there's something up with his mentality. I don't think he approaches games in the way that he should. I don't think he works hard enough. And if you work hard in a Leicester City team, you'll probably get in the team, because it's not necessarily always built on talent and flair. But if you don't work hard enough and your best attributes aren't coming out of you, then you really have no reason to be included in the starting 11. And that's how I felt about him for a while. I can understand why Ruud started him on Saturday, because he came on and did a fairly good job as an impact sub in the game before. But I don't really understand a lot of the talk around him being some kind of saviour, because he is not anywhere near like a Riyad Mahrez type of winger. He has moments where he can score, but I don't think he works hard enough to get into those areas. And against Newcastle in particular, I thought he was really impotent and he just didn't want to take the man on. And what are you a winger for if that's your attitude?
Manny, I would have argued what Kate just said just then last season. This season, I understand where you're coming from, Kate. I do. I also think that he has been good coming off the bench, particularly even when Cooper was still in charge. But last season, he was one of our hardest working players. He played the most. He always tracked back. Both him and Fatah would help out that back three. Do you think that he misses building with the high eight alongside him in Dewsbury Hall? Do you think it's just a step up to the Premier League, Manny? It's an interesting question from Andreas, and I have been wondering the same thing, because I genuinely felt going into the season when we still had Maresca in charge, I was like, you know what? Both Mavididi and Fatah will have a point to prove in the Premier League, and I was really looking forward to see how they'd kick on.
My personal opinion is I think we haven't seen exactly what he can do, because he's an enigmatic player. There's a couple of things that you need to get this guy really ticking. And remember, it's important to look at his history. Kind of rejected from Arsenal, goes to Juve, didn't really work out. Juve ends up in France. He's not making his Premier League debut till he's 26, despite being born in Derby. And and a lot of people ask why. There's a reason for that. And I'll tell
Did you say despite being born in Derby or in spite of being born in Derby?
Freudian. I'll leave it at that. But Enzo showed that if you give him that love and that assurance that he's going to play consistently the vast majority of the time, that he's my man, left wing, come what may. And if you can get into his head and psychologically, learn how to make him tick, and every human being's different, right? And Enzo showed that you can get a consistent player out there, and he was our second top scorer this year. So I understand sort of what Kate was saying, that he's not quite done it this year, but who else from out wide is chipping in with goals and assists? I mean, he's got 2 goals, and it's not a lot, but there's, Ayu's got 3. One of those is a penalty, and the other 2 are against 10 men. But we don't have wingers that are scoring goals. There is nobody else. The replacements don't score goals. The replacements don't get assists. So I can understand everybody's always frustrated with him, because when you watch him, he's languid, he looks lazy, at times. But like Luke said, last year his work rate was much higher, and I can only put that towards high quality management of the individual and coaching. And then the secondary aspect is, this season he's so often isolated when he does get the ball, and we're all screaming when he gets the ball, go for your fullback, go and attack him like Fatawi would do, just go at him, don't matter. But he also needs other things, like an overlapping Dewsbury Hall, for example, on the left hand side. If Dewsbury Hall's running beyond the fullback doesn't want to go tight to Mavididi. He's thinking, should I be covering the runner, should I be going tight? And you have, suddenly there's a few options, there's a bit of chaos in that left hand side, and Mavididi has that chance to either cut inside or potentially take the guy on. But there are no overlapping eights. There's nobody running in beyond. He has limited options. He's been messed around. 1 minute he's starting, then he's not starting. I think he got brought on once in like the 94th minute in one of the matches. And he's just like, stop pissing about. Like, either decide that he's good enough to play for you or not. And if you decide that he is good enough to play for you, it doesn't mean you give him, a start because he played a good half an hour and then drop him again. He's that kind of player that's going to need a run of games to build consistency, to build confidence, and he probably might have 3 or 4 stinkers in a row. But I think that if you build that confidence within him, then after 2, 3, 4 games, when he feels like you've got his back, then I think you'll start to see reward. And at the end of the day, if we had somebody better that was like screaming out to play against him, but when it was between him, Casey, and Bobby Cordova-Reid, none of these players are going to give you consistent performances. So ultimately, you pick the player, in my opinion, who you think has a higher ceiling, or you go for the pure work rate in defensive cover for the fullback that you've got with you. It's a personal preference. I always like picking the X Factor player, so I'd always choose Mavididi.
Just before you mention the X Factor, you mentioned... Sorry, Kate, go on.
I was going to say the third aspect that Manny's not mentioned there is the fact that last year he was against much less quality opposition. That's the biggest elephant in the room, without a shadow of a doubt.
Still in our top sort of 4.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The fundamental and most obvious difference this year, except for manager, is quality of opposition.
But then you can apply that to every single player that we've got.
But I'm not talking about every single player. We're talking about Mavididi and whether he's good enough. And I'm saying the elephant in the room that you haven't mentioned there, because you want to talk him up, is the fact that he's different this year because the opposition is different. I think he's massively a personality player that you've got to bring it out of him. But I don't think he works hard enough for a relegation type battle.
He did work hard last year, though. He did, so he has shown the potential that he is capable of consistently working really hard. I mean, I don't think any of us were screaming last year that he's too lazy. That I understand it's different when you have that opposition. You probably don't have to run back quite as much as you would do this year. But is there the alternative player that's doing such a great job? I don't see that.
Well, let me put this to you, Kate. Do you think that if Enzo Maresca was still in charge, that Mavididi would have been struggling as much as he is if we were still playing the same system that he was working hard in under a manager that clearly, as Manny mentioned earlier, inspired him?
Well, it's difficult to judge, isn't it? Because on one hand, I still think he'd be the same. But then if Enzo Maresca was still here, would KDH have left? Would Ricardo have got injured because he would have been played from outset rather than Cooper leaving him out on the cold to get cold for 5 months? So it's different, and that all helps Mavididi's game, which I understand what Manny's saying there. So I personally don't think he's good enough for the Prem, but at the same time, we haven't really got a lot else back up. But I think a lot of the reason why people don't want to include him at the moment potentially is because he doesn't do enough defensively. And when you're in a relegation battle, you cannot carry somebody like that. You just can't do it.
On the flip side of that, though, I hate, it's like when Danny Welbeck used to play up front, his best attribute was winning the ball back. It's like, I don't want my attacking players' best attribute to be their defensive qualities. I have Wilf and Sumare and the defence.
But his attacking qualities haven't been good enough. And when your best attributes aren't good enough, you've got to compensate in other areas. And I don't think he does.
And I'm trying to give a case as to why he might not have shown his best so far. And if there was somebody else, like I said, who was bringing attacking returns in his position, then he wouldn't get back in the team. But there isn't anybody else. I know you expressed you thought Casey could be our most improved player this year. Personally, I think Casey's never going to be a Premier League player. And I think we should cash in on him at the very first opportunity. I feel bad about saying that for a local lad who does have a high work rate and clearly loves the club and all that stuff. But I'm sorry, there's no room for sentimentality. His end product stinks. It's just never ever. He can get into the right position because he's got the legs to do so. But whenever he gets there, the cross or the shot or the key pass just gets duffed. And I just don't see the point of sticking with Casey in particularly, because it's not as if we're defensively brilliant with him helping the fullback either. You saw at the weekend, for example, they tried to play that kind of way down the right-hand side. And how did the winger for Newcastle do? Gordon absolutely tore it up. So I'd rather one of those that you can look at the defensive aspect two ways. So you need the winger to come back and help his fullback, so you can double up. The alternative way to defend is by keeping your winger in a more attacking position and making the opposition worry about your winger and move backwards themselves, so they don't attack so much. So it's a key, it's a preference, it's a choice. Like I said, the most attacking players. He's one of our few remaining dribblers in the team that can beat a man one-on-one. We just don't have many players that can beat a man one-on-one. There's probably two, him and Buonanotte really, who can beat a man. And I just think going for traditional work rates, or even Bobby, who I know Luke's favourite player is Cordova-Reid. We'll get into that at some point. But nobody else is coming up with anything. Like, we could drop Mavididi, but the replacement doesn't do anything. So what's the point? We may as well stick with Mavididi, and you will reap the benefits. The difference is last year he played every week, or he started pretty much every single week. This year it's chop change. It's RU left wing, it's Cordova-Reid left wing, it's him left wing, it's Bilal left wing. It's a change. You're going to put him in the middle or the right for a bit. Stop messing him about. Tell him where he's going to play and give him 5 games. And like I said, give him 5 games and say, look, this is your chance. You got 5 games. If you don't show me in those 5 games some level of consistency, high work rate, and better returns, then do you know what? You're going to get dropped for 10 and forget it. You're going to go on train with the 23s for a bit, or we're going to get you out the door. One of those things. I think you've got to either say that he is a player for you, and if he's a player for you, you've got to give him that time, that consistency to try and improve his performance. If he's not for you, then sell him. Manny,
passionate. I'm going to get this comment up for Kate here, and then we're going to move on from this rabbit hole of Mavididi. Brookline G, mate, it was good to see you on the call-in show of Blue Tinted Glasses. Definitely look forward to seeing you again, mate. Kate, if Steffi would play one single ball to an overlapping Victor Christensen, his world would completely change. He has all the tools to be successful.
But does he have the mentality? I'm not sure. This is the whole point of the conversation, isn't it? I'm not denying he's got skills and not denying he's got ability. But if your brain doesn't talk to your feet, it doesn't really matter.
Then it's the art of management, though. Then it's about getting...
No, mate. It's the art of talent.
You've got to.
You don't know to pass to your fullback who's overlapped you when it's an obvious pass. I don't know what to say to you.
No one can get a tune out.
He's 26 years old. He's not 18.
Marcus Rashford's 27. No one can get a tune out.
Yeah, I don't want him either.
but he's a player that has scored 30 plus goals in the Premier League from left wing. So
for an amazing club compared to ours. We haven't got the reserves to carry stuff.
Man United under Solskjaer were far from amazing.
They're amazing compared to us, mate.
What I'm saying is, it goes to show that a player's mentality, his mood, maybe there's stuff going on with his girlfriend off the pitch. Maybe he's got 3 girls pregnant at the same time and he doesn't know what to do. We just don't know what goes on.
And buy him a pack of condoms and tell him to play right.
Well, maybe that's exactly what Rude's going to do. But...
Anyway, let's move on to the next topic, Luke. What you got?
What about condoms? Sorry. Well, next thing I was going to talk about was how much I don't want to see that Welsh turtle between the fucking posts when we play Wolverhampton. Danny Ward, if I see him even on the bench, I'm gonna have a nervous breakdown. Guys, I'm just praying that we're gonna get some good news about Mads Hermansen. But if not, and we have to play it safe, our boy Jakub Stolacic is featured for the under-21s. And guys, if either of you two know of someone in the comments or live chat, please let me know. If there's a way I can watch that game, I would love to go and do some analysis because, look, in my opinion, when Hermansen got injured at the start of last season, Jakub stepped up. Every FA Cup game that we played, I thought he was brilliant, particularly that Birmingham game. I know I keep harping on about it, but he stopped a crazy amount of shots in that first half. It was amazing. People kept saying he's not that great with his feet. And look, I think when you're put because we had so much of the ball last season, everyone that is in the Premier League that's watching Mads Hermansen is like, oh my God, look at this brilliant shot stopper. And yes, he is. But last season, it was a complete different narrative. It's like, look how good this guy with his feet. It's incredible. We haven't seen that, unfortunately, as much in display in the Premier League this season. But I think if he gets a move to a Big Six club, you will see both attributes. But look, when you're being compared to Mads Hermansen, the ball, obviously he's not going to look that good at his feet. But compared to Everson and Danny Ward, in my opinion, I think he's way better. He's a good shot stopper. Would you, Manny, be happy? Who would you want? We're going to get into 11 soon, but would you rather have Jakub in the starting 11 over the other goalkeepers we have available?
We have seen all of these four keepers play over the last 2 seasons, right? All of them have had their turns to play. Every single Leicester City fan would agree in the order of these 4 keepers. There's no debate about, I don't think there's even one person who disagree, Mads, Jakub, Everson, Ward. Now, that's not to necessarily say that's based on their potential and the rest of it, but Ward is done at this club. He was done the time we got relegated. If not just done because the fans have had enough and he had an awful season that season, it's that the players remember it. The players don't feel confident. So, if you've been told to keep a certain distance from your keeper, then Danny Ward's your keeper, you instinctively start dropping back 6 inches, 8 inches, 12 inches. All of a sudden, you're the defender that's sticking out and keeping someone like an Isak onside or a Gordon onside. It's your natural tendency because you just don't have, whether it's actively or subliminally, you just don't have confidence in Danny Ward. So it's not necessarily just about their attributes as a keeper or their experience or the fact that one's an international and has played Premier League before. Use the old-fashioned eye test. You watch Jakub play, he's a decent keeper. If not, potentially an actual replacement for Mads, should he go one day. He's been super unlucky with that injury, but he's a keeper. If he's fit, and he played that under 23 game last week, I think it was. If he's fit, there's not a single Leicester City fan that would not want Jakub. And, we've got the new goalkeeping coach in, I think, Yella, I don't know, send him Yella something, and Ruud's come in, and he's trying to get to grips with the squad. He doesn't know the players. Well, we do know the players. And we can all tell you, it's a no-brainer. Jakub has to start. Even if he's 90% fit and not quite perfect, I'd still start Jakub.
I really agree with you, Manny, mate. What about you, Kate?
That's the exact order that I would go with in terms of keepers, but that's just assuming everyone's on their A game. So the problem is Ward's always at the bottom for sure. But the thing that might need to be considered if Mads isn't fit is Everson, really, because when you train as a keeper and your reaction times and just your ability to jump, to react, whatever it is, it all depends on sharpness. And I'm not sure when you come back from a really long layoff and you've only played, I think he said it was his first game back, he's played one game. I just don't want him to look a clown because it's not going to be great for his confidence. So I'm not sure how sharp and reactionary his skills are going to be for that type of position. So I will not understand at all. I'm with you if Ward's anywhere near that pitch, but I don't really understand even on Saturday why he didn't start with Everson or come on with Everson. But Ward's been the reserve keeper all season, right? So I'm not really sure why that is. But for me, if Jakub isn't match fit, then I'd definitely go with Everson, just because I don't think you don't want to make Jakub look an idiot, because I really enjoyed watching him last season. I thought he was absolutely outstanding in some games. At times, because Mads likes to be cocky and pull the defenders in before he kicks it out and you have your heart in your mouth moment. Jakub didn't do that. And I think as far as skills for saving goes and shot stopping, I think he's on par with Mads, to be honest. I think he's so athletic and he's really flexible and his ability is great like that. Feet wise, who knows? But yeah, I'm just don't want to throw him in the deep end to the Wolves if he's not perfectly sharp, because he'll just look an idiot.
And Luke, I'll say one thing as well. When we've had a few of these debates about, whether, for example, JJ could play left centre back, which he did. I think it was the Arsenal game. I think it was. No, it was the Forest game that he played centre back. And there's could JJ play on the left hand side? We've had these kind of situations before. JJ playing ahead of Ricardo last season. Look at what Enzo did when he had these decisions to make. Now, Everson was on loan last year, so he wasn't in the picture. But did Enzo choose Ward on the bench, or did he choose Jakob on the bench? Did Enzo try and think about playing JJ as left centre back? Did he choose Ricardo or JJ at right back? These are decisions that Enzo and his coaching staff will have debated, discussed, watched in training for a long season, and their conclusion is our conclusion. So we asked, why has Ward been on the bench? Because we had Cooper in charge, and we maintained that the guy just didn't know what he was doing, I'm afraid. It's certainly when it came to our club and our players, he didn't know what he was doing. All of us.
And he's big mates with Ward, isn't he?
His Welsh buddy probably stuck with him, no doubt. But what did Enzo do? Enzo picked Jakob every single time whenever he was fit. So I'm hoping that Ruud and Enzo have more of a connection, being teammates at Malaga when they played together. They've obviously already spoken. They've probably spoken about a lot of players too. And I wouldn't be surprised if Ruud's sending Enzo the odd text about this, saying, well, what can you tell me about the second and third choice keepers? I hope that is the case, because we know who Enzo would choose, and choose the same keeper as us. And before everybody starts going, I'm using the word Enzo too much, and I probably will end up keep doing that for the rest of this year. And yes, I'm in absolute love with Enzo totally. If you think Enzo was a bad decision maker, or you think he was inexperienced or got lucky, for example, have a look at how he's doing at the moment. Check the league table out. If they win, they're going top of the league before Liverpool play this weekend. The guy is a next-gen level genius, and I will choose to go with the next-gen level genius above Cooper or above other fans, I'm afraid. I'm
with you, mate, and I've got receipts for that too, brother, 100%. Just quickly, going into what Kate was saying, I don't want to throw Stelarczyk into the deep end either, and make him look stupid. But when you have Ward, you're not going to look stupid. Ward's always going to do that job for you. Let's be fucking honest here, okay? Let's be dead fucking honest. Go back to this, okay? That's what you want to see, Locks. Do you seriously fucking think that if Ward's contract miraculously was scrapped in January or the next transfer window, that a championship level club at the bottom would even have a sniff of Danny Ward? Let's be real here. Seriously, in the comments, let me know. Do you think so? Because if you do, you're fucking talking out your ass. He is so shit. I don't care how bad you say the defense is.
All opinions.
Yeah, exactly. You don't even comment. We all just acknowledge that he's a turtle. And that fourth goal, it looked like he got shot by a fucking cannon in the guts, and the ball went between his legs. I hate Danny Ward. I hate him more than Locks hates face. Okay, yeah. Just in case you didn't know. Okay, let's get into it.
You get hot under the collar there, Luke, in the 40+ degrees over there.
I'm going to have a nervous breakdown if I even see him on the team sheet against Wolverhampton. I seriously don't.
Is he out of contract in the summer?
Yeah.
Oh, God, I hope so. What a leech he is.
He's coming to work. He's going to be painting and decorating with Luke.
He's coming to us. Coming to Perth.
Is he fine?
Look, I mean, the other element is you've got a keeper who's definitely going on a free in 6 months. And we've got another keeper that we plan on keeping for several years. So psychologically, it doesn't help Jakob if you're telling Jakob that the guy who's an absolute stinker last season, who everybody hates, who's only got 6 months left of his stupidly massive contract, is still going to start ahead of you. Now, I get it, it's his first game back, but if he's fit enough to play in a 23 game, he's fit enough to play in a pro game. It's not as if like keepers need to have everything in bang working order absolutely all the time. If he can jump and he can save and he can kick with his right foot, then we'll take that risk with the rest of it. Give him a start. Don't put Danny Ward in. I mean, that's not to say that Danny Ward couldn't come in and have a good game, but if he did, it would largely be probably by luck. I'm more worried about the defence in front of him also bricking their pants every time they're with him, and than him playing him necessarily himself. I kind of agree that he didn't have the most awful game at the weekend, but it's just one of those. Like, Danny Ward is on the pitch for this club. The fans and the defence think, fuck, we are in big shit here. We're about to concede sometime soon. And more often than not, you kind of manifest your own reality in that case. So get him, just get him out of the, not even in the squad. I put Everson on the bench as well, by the way. I mean, Ward just should be anywhere but near the first team. Have him as a morale officer. Have him making the teas. Have him anything but on the pitch. Alone. Pay 90% of his wages. Don't have that temptation that he comes on the pitch. And I'd rather have some academy keeper who's 17, 18 years old get a one-off game than Danny Ward. It's not because Danny Ward's such a bad keeper. It's just Danny Ward at this club has never, ever, ever worked. And it's never going to work. And he's only got 6 months left. Just out the door as soon as you can do. Sorry.
Sorry before we... Sorry.
He's on the wind-up again, his old Lux.
He's happy being a number 2 and he's a cock as well. All right, let's get into this.
Insulin shot.
I'm not reading Box's comments anymore. Okay, Kate. Now, unless you have any objections, I nearly did a starting 11 all myself, and I thought, you know what, let's do it together. But I wanted to talk about, because I thought we might maybe have some differing opinions other than this. Before we move forward, does anyone have any objections of what we have available here, providing I think Winks, by all accounts, is going to be available? He was maybe touch and go last game. I think he'll be right now. Samari's back from suspension. Never thought I'd be so excited to see him back in the 11 again. Would you guys rather see, I think the only one that you could maybe put an asterisk next to here is a Coley. Would you rather Face or a Coley? I'll start with you, Kate.
I'd rather have Cody.
Cody?
Yeah, man. I just think him and Yannick are the best pairing we have seen.
I thought Cody was a car crash against in the last game, and I thought there was one questionable thing that I could...
Tell me who wasn't a car crash against Newcastle.
What about Ruud van Nistelrooy putting him in a double pivot? That's even more questionable. That's the only one thing that scared me.
Why are you letting Cody off, but you're still hating on Mavididi for having a car crash?
I'm just saying.
Oh, yeah, we're back on.
Just saying. Here we go. Let's go.
I can't get into the Mavididi comments again.
No, we've done that one.
No, I just won you up.
Yeah, I prefer Cody. I think they've been the most stable pairing, genuinely the most stable. I shit myself less when they're on the pitch together.
Really? Okay. Yeah. Well, this
is
a democracy.
I know he didn't play that well at the weekend. Neither did Yannick. But I prefer them as a pairing. Fast is absolutely coming nowhere near it. He should be in a limo to the airport. Oh, you're on mute. You're on mute.
Yourself.
I was just dropping straight facts. It's a shame I was muted. Manny, this is a democracy. Who would you like to see in that position?
I think a lot of these actually depend on the opposition that you're playing. So I think I said in the preview to the Newcastle game that I would have liked Coley playing against Newcastle, because even if you have a mid-block, a reasonably high line, you cannot have space in behind with Isak against Vestergaard and Cody. They're just too slow at turning. It's two oil tankers. How Isak versus two oil tankers, or Gordon sneaking in at the far post behind one of them, you're asking for trouble. So I like a Coley's covering pace. And in fact, I like a Coley's covering pace for any of his partners. And he's an Italian international. So, and do you know what? I don't think Coley has been dealt with fairly. I think he had one bad game, which was like the cup game against Man United. And I thought his league performances have been generally, before then, pretty okay under Cooper. And we keep having this debate about Vestergaard's and Cody's and Fast, but I think the one constant that we need is the defender with pace, which is a Coley. And then we talk about his partner, whoever that might be. So actually, I would always pick a Coley in all of my teams, home or away. And then it depends on how you think the game's going to go. So there's a case for Cody because of leadership. Obviously, we're playing Wolves and he knows Wolves pretty well as a club kind of thing. But because we are at home and we are expecting to take the game to them, then you probably want Yannick's passing ability over Cody's defensive ability in this particular game. But this is a debate that I take it game by game, depending on which striker they're playing against, which opposition wingers are they playing against, and the style they feel the match is going to go. So for this particular match, I would go with a Coley Vestergaard, but that position alongside a Coley is always up for debate, up for chat, depending on who we're playing on any given week.
Yeah, I'm with you. I agree. So unfortunately, Kate has been overruled. It's 2-1. But Kate, I can appreciate what you're saying. Akola, yeah, definitely got the pace to make up alongside in that partnership with Yannick, who the argument is that you want him in as your centre back for his ball distribution. And I think you get the best out of Yannick when you have Harry Winks in front of him. So the building through the back and progressing up the pitch all starts, in my opinion, usually with either Mads or to Vestergaard to Winks. Okay, so we're all gonna not disagree on anything else. Now, this is where it gets interesting. So, guys, let's just go here. Let's start with the 10. And I'll start with you with this, Kate. Would you rather see Boyanote and Bilal there, and why?
In the central line, I'd have Facundo, yeah.
Facundo, okay. And what about yourself, Manny?
Agreed. Facundo, central.
Okay, cool. I'm in agreement as well. I don't know how to spell his name. I just put B-U-I, and there we go. He's in. Okay, so this is where it gets interesting, and I thought we would have to talk this through. Left wing. Now, we've just had an absolute discussion on Mavididi. Would you rather... I'll start with you, Kate. Would you rather see Mavididi, Bilal, McAteer, Donkey over Reed? Who would you like to see as your left winger?
Don't jinx it. Keep calling him that. He might score again.
Yeah, say it again.
Donkey over Reed.
I'm having Bilal on the left. I like Bilal on the left.
I like him too, and a lot of people have made a decent shout. They linked up well with Christensen, so I can appreciate that. I think that Bilal, you can probably play that winger a bit more effectively than Buonanotte would on the right.
And those two, despite like that positioning, those two have the ability, because they're both amazing on the ball, to drift. So if Buonanotte can naturally drift out to the right, and Bilal can naturally drift central as well. And I think they both work together quite well. I was a bit worried that they would overlap when we first signed them both, and like, how's this going to work? But I actually find them quite complementary, because they both read the game, the forward game, really well.
Yeah, okay, fair play. Well, that's what becomes interesting. So if you were to go Bilal on the left, would you have would you have Mavididi on the right, or you just drop him all together, Kate?
Drop him all together. I'm having Casey there.
Oh, you've upset Manny. Manny, who's your shout for left wing and why, mate?
Right wing, you mean?
No, it's a vote. We have to. It's democracy manifest.
I wouldn't look at it as so definitive about someone's going to definitely stay at left wing. I would get the two wingers on the pitch that I want, and I'd be happy to interchange them every 10 minutes. You know, I don't know why we don't try that a bit more. Try one on the right. If he's getting a bit of joy, keep him there. If he's not getting joy, switch him with the guy on the left, and vice versa. If you could start with Bilal on the left, and if he's not getting enjoyment in the first 15-20 minutes, swap him with the right winger. But as always, I'm going to pick my two most attacking threat wingers. So I don't need to tell you who that other one is. It's the one that Locks hates. It's the one that
Wilfred and Didi.
Wilfred and Didi.
11 of those and we'd be good. Mavididi. And you switch. Let the fullback have a look at him for 10 minutes. If the fullback looks like he's comfortable with him, swap them around. Swap them around. I'll do the same with Buonanotte, by the way. That I wouldn't be scared of being interchangeable for 5-10 minutes here. You could have Buonanotte on the right, Buonanotte on the left. All that three there should be on like rotational position, depending on who's finding joy where. And if they find like, I've got the beating of this player, or I'm getting some joy against him, he can't pick me up, then you can stay there. Otherwise, don't be a way of putting them around. Who's this hatred lover in the comments today? I mean, get on here. What you doing?
There's some proper. He's got the link in the chat if he wants to join. There's some proper hate. Well, I'm very curious to see if Bilal could play on the right. We get proper experimental here. It's a good thing I'm not a manager. Okay, so we've got our wingers where Kate's not keen on Mavididi, but I'm going to vote Manny's. They're the wingers I both want to see. Okay, now who's up top? Join if you want, Locks, mate. The link is in the group chat, brother. Kate, who do you want up top? Do you want Mavididi?
Jamie.
Jamie Vardy. I think we're all in unanimous agreement.
Goat. We want the goat.
We want the goat.
No brainer.
And you know what? I heard you guys talking on the Foxes, Dan, and you were talking about, this hard run of games that we've got coming up, every 3 or 4 days against these big clubs, Man City, Liverpool. I can 100% see Daka getting a start in one of those games. You know what I mean? So I think start Vardy for this one.
Well, the hand grenade I'm also going to throw in there. Do you remember? I think it was under Brendan that Daka played left wing a few times. Was it? I think it was under Brendan. Or it
No,
might have been under Enzo, was it?
no, it was the bloke after him. I keep forgetting his name. What's the bloke that took
Dean
over?
Smith.
Dean Smith played. He played them all three at once. At one point in the game, we're down. He played Kelechi and Vardy and Daka all the same up the front three. Do you remember that? It's been done before.
It's an option, but the one thing that I know Kate wants Casey to start. I think Casey's had his time myself. I'm never going to be a voter of Casey to start in games. It's just not for me. So I'd even look at Daka as an emergency bit part replacement winger, but that doesn't send a good message to the other wingers. So that's the team I would go for, the one you've got there plus JV.
Sweet, mate. So we've got Vardy. We're all in agreement. Just going to get into these comments, going to score prediction. We're going to wrap this up, guys. It's pretty late here and I've got to get up for work. It's like 10 past 11 here. That's our 11, guys. So I think that's pretty sexy. It'd be really good to see Samari back in. I think that ball, drive and run. You've got Winks to dictate the ball and knock it about. I think this is a really nice 11 here. You can interchange, like Manny said, of the wingers, although I wouldn't be doing it too much just because of how brutal transition is in the Premier League. But I can appreciate it.
Rude did it 2 games ago. He switched mid-game.
Yeah, and did it work?
Yeah, I think it did a bit. I think it worked a bit better defensively. So it will just depend how he wants to set up, I guess.
I like the idea of that. You never want your fullback to be super comfortable and be like, do you know what? Be confident that the guy that I'm facing is a guy that I've got him in my pocket today. If you feel like that, then give him a different look at somebody else for a bit and make him feel a bit uncomfortable. And then when the original winger comes back to that position, you're already like, I was trying to look after one, then I've looked after another. And what are they doing? You're getting into their head a little bit. And I always think that's just, even for 5-10 minutes here and there, is not the worst idea to switch wingers around, especially if you're not getting any joy from either of them.
Sorry about that. Professional as always. Clemo's just put here, I like the idea of just going 2 strikers, dropping one of the wingers and just going 2 attacking mids. So Bilal, Facundo, Daka and Vardy. There's a decent shout there.
We have the option, by the way, not one person has mentioned this yet, of going old school 4-4-2. We did it late on in the Brighton game when we had 2 and out strikers. There's an issue in midfield with numbers, so you could consider that. I'm not saying that I would. I'm saying we should evaluate that option of bringing old school 4-4-2 back. It might be one of those where it's just so out of fashion, you can bring it back into fashion because teams aren't used to playing against it anymore. If we are
Sorry,
really...
Manny. Sorry to interrupt you. Kate's got to shoot. Sorry, man. I didn't mean to be rude. Kate, thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate you giving up your time. And hopefully we'll see you guys. See you soon.
All right. See you later.
Bye.
See you later. Thank you. Sorry, Manny. And here
Good riddance. Good riddance to her. Bye, Kate.
Locks was just then. Locks, jump back in, man. I just seen you, lad. Sorry, Manny. Continue with your point, man.
I was going to say, look, I thought I might just bring in Clemo. Clemo says he likes the idea of going 2 strikers, maybe even dropping one of the wingers. We have got. I mean, Daka, even though he only had that sort of half an hour against Brighton, he did actually have a decent half an hour. His work rate was off the charts. His running ability, that finish was outstanding that no one ever thought of. You kind of want to find minutes for him somewhere if you can. So I think he's one of those where if our wingers aren't, let's say Mavididi, Locks' favourite, is having a stinker like he has been recently, and you want to pull him off at half time. I know Locks really likes to pull off Mavididi as much as he can. Then you might want to look at Daka being the winger. At least he has got pace and work rate, and if he can cut in from that wide position. Do you remember he scored that goal against Brighton? It was almost from a Mavididi style position, right? Left wing, kind of coming in that left 8 slot. So there's another option, considering we just don't have that many other options in those positions at all.
Looks, mate. Do you think that's a hideous shout? Daka on the left wing. We've seen it before. I've never seen it work, but I can appreciate the sentiment behind it. Do you think that's outlandish? Are you up for it? Talk to me later.
As an impact, yeah, mid-game. I wouldn't start him on the left. No, not at all. But I mean, if you're trying to get bodies on the pitch and get them forward,
Guardiola,
yeah.
one win in 11. What are you trying to say, Luke? Manny Maresca. I prefer that.
Manny Maresca.
Look at this, man. Look, you're shitting on Guardiola now in favour of Maresca.
The game moves on, my friend, and poor old Guardiola he's like Klopp last year. It gets to a point where you just haven't got the energy and the intensity for it anymore. It takes too much out of you. Being that good for that long is gonna take any. You look at an interview. The guy looks like he needs a bloody good holiday to me.
Well, he did sign a new deal like 2 months ago.
Yeah,
he could have not.
I think it's one of those where you sign the new deal because you don't want everyone to keep speculating about your future at the end of the season. But I think there's almost no chance that he'll be in the Premier League next year. But
I genuinely think that Rodri's a crucial, massive out for them. I've seen him without Haaland. I've seen him without. You always think that they play to a system, Man City. I've seen him without De Bruyne. Without Rodri, it's just.
But I'm sure we'll get to that when we preview the Man City game in a few games. But they've replaced their wingers. They remember they used to have Mahrez and Sterling and Bernardo who would chip in with double figures. You'd have Gundogan double figures. You'd have KDB with 15 goals. You'd have Foden with 15, 20 goals. There's a lot of goals coming from midfield, except for now when Foden's got 0, KDB's got 1. Grealish has 0. Doku has, I think, 1 or 0. Bernardo's got 1 or 0. I mean, they're just not getting any goals from anywhere in midfield at the moment, particularly out wide. I think, look, I've said this to you. I think I said this to Locks in previous streams. Mavididi scored more Premier League goals this season than all the Man City wingers combined. That's 225 million quid's worth of talent, by the way. The problem that they had, it's obviously a crazy, weird, irrelevant stat, but all it just goes to show is that being a winger is hard in the Premier League. Being a consistent winger is even harder. And being a goal-scoring winger is super hard unless your name is Mo Salah, because there's not any other wingers who are going to get 15 goals from wing apart from Mo Salah this year.
Ayew's got 3.
He's not going to get 15 now, is he?
No, but he's got more than Mavididi.
One of them's a penalty. If Mavididi takes a penalty, it's reverse.
Mavididi's with tap-ins.
Ayew scored it only against 10 men from 2 promoted championship sides.
Great finish, mate. Bottom right corner from about 20 yards out.
Locks, you pushed Mavididi to start against Brighton, and then at half-time you were screaming to take him off. So, which way do you want to have it? You're screaming for Ayew, you want to take him off. Mavididi comes on.
Did I push for Mavididi to start against Brighton? I don't think that's true, mate. I don't think that's true.
No, I said you pushed for Ayew to start in Brighton.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, because...
But then at half-time, he had a stinker.
Yeah, and I said he should have been taken off at half-time.
And then who's going to come on?
The difference, Manny, is that when I see a stinker, I call it out, no matter who it is. You seem to not call out the stinkers from the players you love.
You might be right in a bit that like I said, I've said this to Luke before. I make my mind up about a player whether I rate you or not. And if I rate you, I'll forgive you. If I don't rate you, I'll slate you. That's it. And it's very hard for me to change my mind about a player once I've formulated a strong opinion about them. And I have to see consistent brilliance for me to think something different. But I haven't seen anything consistent. I think the player that we're talking about is Oliver Skip. Haven't seen Oliver Skip have a particularly good game.
No, we're not on about Skip. We're not on about Skip.
Mavididi, you're right. He's had half the game are absolute howlers, and half the game is okay. And against Brighton, the half an hour cameo he did, including work rate to win the ball back up high for Vardy, the pre-assist. I see a guy who can do things like that, and I think if you could extend that 30 into a 60, you got yourself a player. But I look at other players and I think you're not doing anything.
Well, that's what I'm referring to. I think he does. He has it in him to come off the bench and provide or create an impact. And but I don't think his fitness levels are there, and I don't think his desire is there to do it for 90. I don't. But
get into his head. I think honestly, Steve Cooper and his motivational skills versus Enzo and Ruud motivational skilles. If Steve Cooper tells you to do something, he's going to have to wake you up first. You've already fallen asleep on the chair before he started talking. It's like, give me a break. But when Ruud speaks or Enzo speaks, you are paying attention because these guys have clarity in the game. And these two, as players, if nothing else, played at extremely high levels.
By the way, Luke, just to let you know, mate, while you've been live, I don't know if you've spoken about it, while you've been live, the Wolves manager's been announced. There you go.
I swear to God, Locks, on my life, that I was just about to try and bullshit and say that Steve Cooper, breaking news, has been appointed Wolves manager to see your reaction. I'm glad I didn't, because I would have been called out real quick. Who is it?
Vita, what's his name, man? You probably know, don't you?
Pereira, isn't it?
Vito Pereira.
Vita Pereira, yeah.
From Saudi Arabia. Well, he's just been managing in Saudi Arabia.
Don't get distracted by the Saudi. Nuno was in Saudi Arabia last job, and he's walked into the Premier League, and look what he's doing.
Have you seen his job history? Like, half of his CV are half seasons. Like, he won't keep them up. They're going down, mate. They'll go down. I'm
one of those I want to see first. The bottom line is we just don't know enough about these managers. We've never really seen them consistently. Do we know anything about? I was about to call him Areola, but it's Iraola, isn't it? At Bournemouth,
I called him that too.
Yeah, we don't know. We didn't know anything about him, but look what a brilliant job he's doing at the moment. There's quite a these guys we just don't know. We didn't know anything about the Brighton manager. He's doing a good job. Let's face it, we focus primarily on Premier League.
Look at this. Look at his history.
Has he managed Benfica at one point? Has he?
That's
this guy,
funky manager history.
Mate, the longest this guy's been in a job is 3 years. Other than that, like 1 year, 2 years, half a year. Mate, this guy.
This guy was born in. How old is he?
To say that, Robert De Serbi had 5 clubs in 5 years before the Brighton job, though. So.
Yeah, but this guy's 56.
Yeah, he's born a manager by the sounds of it. What the hell? Fenerbahce.
It's very dangerous to assume that this guy's crap, and that because of that record that you're looking at in front of you, that he can't do anything. He is, he's a Portuguese manager with a Portuguese ownership and a heavily influenced Portuguese players. I mean, I just don't know if he's going to be good or bad. There's an argument.
The only reason he's got the job is because he's
worse.
Portuguese. He's only got the job because he's Portuguese.
Maybe, but you can't. I don't know if anyone could be doing any worse than they were doing before. Therefore, we'll see an improvement. It's very dangerous to write Wolves off and say this manager's a joker, the team's crap, they're going down, therefore we'll be okay. I'd be very nervous about having that mentality.
I didn't say we'd be okay. I just said they're going down. That's all I said.
Well, we will finish higher than Ipswich. We will finish higher than Ipswich. That I am confident. I think it's between us and Wolves for that third spot.
If we start with Ward, again, we're going down. I don't give a fuck. I do not, again, I'm doubling down. Fuck off, you turtle. Do not want to see you again. Give me anxiety.com/send help. Fucking Locks, mate. What do you think? Before we wrap this up, I keep forgetting this lad's name. Sorry, Manny. The bloke that fucking copped an elbow in the back. No. But the one that's. Do you think they're going to challenge this? Do you think they're going to challenge this, Locks, or what?
Well, it's not going to be overturned, right? So if they appeal it, it's only so that he can play this weekend. But then in doing that, you then get another game extra. So it would be stupid all round. It depends on how desperate they are to win this one. So I don't think they will appeal it because, again, I said this the other day. If you've watched the footage, it's never getting overturned. He went in, tried to elbow him in the back of the head, and when he failed, he grabbed his face and pulled his glasses off. It's a ban. So it would be very silly to appeal it, but it all comes down to whether they would rather him miss the game versus us or a later game down the line. I think it'd be stupid to appeal it.
I think they might actually appeal it because I think Anil said it yesterday on BTG Fox's Den in that you might just sacrifice their Wolves' fixture list in January is absolutely horrific. I think they've just basically got the top 6, and those games you're in big trouble. This is not a 3-pointer; it's a 6-pointer. This is against, like I said, your direct rival for relegation. And if I was Wolves, I would definitely want Cunha more in this game and sacrifice him for 2 games against oppositions where I'm expecting to get 0 anyway. And you've got January in between to maybe find somebody who can probably replace Cunha better for a couple of games. This is, make no mistake, for us and for them, this is the biggest game of the season so far, and arguably at home for us, the biggest game of the entire season. Because I still believe that Ipswich and Southampton are the worst 2 clubs in this division, and they will go down despite Ipswich's recent upturn in form. It's between us and Wolves. And if it's between us and Wolves, the home game for us is the 3 points game. This is the one we need 3 in. And if we get that 3 points against them, that's a 9-point gap going into January. Totally demoralising for them. But with their fixture list, even if we lose the next 3 or 4 games, I think we've got Liverpool, Man City, Villa, Spurs. Even if we lose all 4 of those games with a 9-point gap and the fixture list they have in January, at the end of January, when we've got an improved squad, there's still going to be a gap. I think relegation might even be pretty safe if we've still got anything like that. So, monster game for us, monster game for them. I don't think a point suits anybody, by the way. I think both teams have to go for a win.
Did you see my prediction, lads, by the way, yesterday? My score prediction for tomorrow.
Was it a draw, wasn't it? 1-1?
Yeah, 1-1. 1-1, yeah.
You are Mr. Misery Guts at the moment, honestly. What's wrong with you? Predicting 1-1 at home to Wolves. They just lost to Ipswich at home.
Bounce.
What are you doing?
Bounce.
Well,
I'll leave you my score
hold
prediction.
on, you say the bounce. Hold on. Weren't we in a similar situation not long ago? Rude gets appointed, but he's not actually taking training yet. It's a latter part of the week. And you have temporary staff in charge for 1 game. How did that work out for us against Brentford?
Yeah, but Rude wasn't announced. So Rude wasn't announced by the time the Brentford game came. This guy is.
We all knew Rude was manager.
Yeah, but he hadn't taken a session. This guy will have. He's probably been there today. He'll have tomorrow. He'll have Saturday. Mate.
Can't do much in one. Like
Well, look at West Ham. Rude had 1 day before West Ham.
As
one day.
As Brookline said in the chat, he's going to need a day to unpack his suitcase, isn't he? Again.
Rude, mate. Come on. He had 1 day and we beat West Ham. We had 1 day.
I'm going to give my score prediction.
Yeah, go on.
Okay. If Danny Ward is in goal, I'm going for 3-0 Wolves, Leicester City 0. If it's Jakob, I'm going Leicester 2, Wolverhampton 1. Seriously.
So Danny Ward's going to be the difference between Leicester scoring 2 goals or not?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, fuck yeah, bro. But honestly, I don't want to get into this again. He stresses my life out. I'm going to start fucking balding if I even look at that guy again. Manny, give us a score prediction before we wrap this up.
I'm sticking with it. I think this is one of those where, you have a good game, you have a bad game. That's kind of where it works. It's the home games where we've looked well under Rude. I think the crowd will be up for it. I'm assuming that Loxer is right that Cunha won't play. And I think if Cunha doesn't play, particularly with Aït-Nouri not playing too, I think I'm going to go 4-1 Leicester.
Wow.
Yeah, they're big time struggling. And the only time that they have capability is massively Cunha. And Aït-Nouri is a decent player as well, who's capable of playing for a better club. They're the 2 best players. If they're missing the 2 of the best players, and we're getting Soumare back versus this Newcastle game, and Winks back, because we needed both of them, because both of our central midfielders weren't particularly good, I think we've got enough to really take it to them. And remember, Buonanotte wasn't on the pitch. So it's like having 3 or 4 new players for this game versus the Newcastle game. And it's at home, and it's against a load of crap who are missing their best 2 players, with a manager who's been in for 5 seconds, arguably maybe not even taking a proper training session. I'm not predicting draws for this. If I'm predicting a draw for this, like Locks, Mr. Misery Guts over there, then when are you predicting home wins against anybody if we can't beat Wolves at home? Come on.
It's me. I've just said it's the circumstances. It's the circumstances. New manager bounce. That's all I'm saying.
Mr. Negative alert.
By the way, can I just say, Luke, that story was true, what I put in the comments earlier. That I wasn't lying. That actually happened.
No, I've seen the video. It's proper creepy. I can't believe what I put up with it. As if he didn't fucking wrap a pint glass around the back of his head for doing that shit, lad. Fucking hell.
Because he's a cook.
Yeah, that's just disgusting behavior. Bad leadership. Fucking can't have him. He's Wrexham level. Like, let's be real here.
We could go Wrexham. That'd be a good move for him. Yeah, he should go Wrexham.
On the bench. He's been a number 2 his whole career. Like, that's cuck shit right there. He's happy to steal a wage. Let's be fair though. We gave him that wage, but the motivation is clearly not there to fucking go to another club. Yeah,
I'd agree with you. Yeah, some people are just happy to take their pay packet and that's it. Done, innit? Take the pay packet. He gets to show up to the all-inclusive complex Seagrave every single day. He gets to he gets to yeah, I'm not gonna say it, don't worry. It's all right, I'll just leave it there. I won't say what I was gonna say. Anyway, ignore me.
Clemo's calling out Danny Ward's missus for being a bike. All right, we're gonna wrap it up. This is too much. Okay. Right, guys, if you like this video, please consider subscribing. So
Children,
it's getting late.
Honestly,
So-
children.
I'll tell you what's really funny, Luke, by the way, Manny. I just saw a post what John Percy put out as well about Vardy, because he did a big piece on Vardy. I don't know if you saw it. He said Jamie Vardy has been known to teach himself insults in the native language of the centre-backs that are marking him on the weekend. So if he's facing up against, I don't know, Saliba, he'll just learn some fucking French swear words and start calling them in the match, which I think is quality. So
I love that.
That's why he's the GOAT.
He is the GOAT. Looking forward to his TV special, guys.
In French.
Yeah, it's gonna be buzzing. Netflix documentary. Yeah, it's about time we had one of them. About time we had one of them. Yeah, yeah. I bet Rodkin's face will be all over it. And Ward.
Stop hating, Locks. Right? Come stop. Get behind them. We've had.
What Ward?
Yeah,
the Stadion, not Ward.
He'll probably put a no.
Not Ward or the other players that I don't like. Here we go again. Honestly.
I was gonna say he'll probably plug his business and put a for sale sign around his missus' neck or something. Like documentary.
Disclaimer. No comment.
Danny Ward's out there pimping his missus' feet on feet.
I'm done.
Smooth 20 for a barefoot, 50 for fucking red nail polish dipped in baby oil, lad. Give me 10% off the top. Right, we're gonna go. All right, I'm wrapping it up. You're out of control, Locks. All right.
Since Luke's been awful at mentioning all the comments of the guys, thank you for everyone for commenting, by the way. There's been lots of comments on there while these two boys have been giggling away. But look, guys, just stop. Let's go easy on Danny Ward. We don't even know if he is going to start. There's a good chance that he won't start. We actually need us to be in some kind of unison here. This is a mega game. If we lose this one, we're in deep shit again. So, everybody needs to, even if Danny Ward does start, I hope we're not I can imagine Luke now on Saturday going nuts. But you hold your lip until he fucks up. Up until then, back him. Right, that might only be a minute, but still, for that minute, give him your support until he does.
Mate, are you a happy clapper or what? What's going on right now?
No,
listen, if you want to see if you want to see a meltdown, guys, before Manny finishes his point, tune into Blue Tinted Glasses if you see Ward in the team sheet. Okay, sorry, Manny, go on.
All right, I'll take it all back. Have the meltdown. Let's go for him. Let's make sure he doesn't play again. When Rude watches the show on Sunday night, he needs to know how the fans feel. Luke, take it away.
I'm just kidding. Let's be nice to the guy. It's probably God's gift in training, and maybe that's why he keeps getting into the team sheet. Maybe he's good in training.
I was going to say, Ward should change his first name to Steffi, and then Manny will fucking love him. Absolutely. Steffi Ward.
It's a nonsense comment. Steffi was our second top scorer last season. When has Ward been our second top scorer, second best player, or second best? Well, he's not even been our second best keeper. Never mind second top scorer. I like players who have at least proven something to the club that they're capable. Danny Ward, as far as I can tell, has not had a single good game in a City shirt. Certainly, I can't remember one. Maybe you two can, but I can't.
We should probably take Clemo's advice there in the chat, Luke.
You're probably right before this carries on.
See you guys. Thank you for tuning in.
By the way, everybody, when are we all seeing each other next? Luke, you're going to be Saturday BTG on the post match and the pre-match or halftime?
I'll be there for the works and for the instant match reaction with Neil and Locks if we win.
And Locks, what have you got coming up?
Match preview tonight. There you go. Match preview tonight, 7:00. Yeah.
I'm sure.
But then, Luke will be on. Luke will be on BTG on Sunday for the match day live. It's going to be entertaining no matter what, even if Ward isn't in the squad. So yeah, make sure to like and subscribe to Luke Leicester City.
Yeah, Luke, I'm
Down
going to get
Under.
you a Danny Ward voodoo doll for Christmas with some extra pins so you can have a good time. All right.
Thanks, guys. Take care. Thank you for joining, and I really appreciate it. See you.